Can we overcome anger and anxiety? Rather, can we allow it to dissolve and not create damage in our lives or the lives of others? Can we learn something that George Washington may have had to teach about this current day and time? And can we extract from a poem called Divine Ecstasy that is sure to give a perspective that very well could liberate us? Welcome everyone to the Austin James Haynes podcast. Currently I'm on site at a special location. This is a special episode. It is November 5th at the time of this recording. It is Tuesday, 4:24 p.m. The U.S. presidential election is well underway. I came here today not knowing what to expect, and as usual, this unexpected thing unfolded, this unexpected lesson, and that goes right into your reinvention unfolding in midlife in an unexpected way. I want you to draw from this today. We're going to learn from a Buddhist monk who has a lot to teach about anger. We're going to hear some philosophies about George Washington, or from George Washington, that can lend a lot of perspective today. And I'm going to share with you an original poem. I want you to pause and breathe, and as you do, breathe in through your nose, relax your face, let your belly expand. See if you can hold a pause at the top of that breath. In that moment of conscious breathing, the universe reflects onto itself. You tap into something deep. As you settle into this podcast episode, whether your audio or video, I'm going to share with you over my left shoulder, could be coming up on your screen to the right, is the George Washington headquarters located in Valley Forge National Park. And you see the setting sun shining through the treetops and through what little leaves remain here in this month of November, in this 2024 autumn season. I want you to think about your reinvention as we get ready to get into today's content. And I want to invite you to subscribe to the podcast, the YouTube channel, wherever is best for you, to begin the process and allow your reinvention to happen in an unexpected way. First, I'm going to read from a book. The Buddhist monk I'm referring to, his name is Thich Nhat Hanh. He's a Vietnamese Buddhist monk. And during the Vietnam War, he was exiled from his country during the Vietnam War because of his stance on peace. And today, I'm going to read a little excerpt called Taking Care of Your Anger. Taking Care of Your Anger. Anger has the power to burn and destroy. If you don't know the practice of mindfulness, you will allow yourself to be burned and destroyed by anger. You will suffer, and those around you will suffer as well. That is why when you notice that anger is coming up, you have to do something right away. It is important to act rather than to react. You have to act by inviting the seed of mindfulness to arise. And I'm going to jump in to interject my perspective on this. If you're not into mindfulness or you don't understand it, you're hearing about it for the first time, the whole idea is to be able to pause and breathe. I know he says act. My philosophy is in alignment. I just say it a different way. It's a non-reaction. It's more of a pause and breathe, just like we do in the show. And then in that, you're grounding into the moment, and you're not reacting to the emotion, which the emotion most wants you to do when it comes up. So let's continue on, and we'll draw more from this. We breathe in, we breathe out, making steps, generating the energy of mindfulness in order to take care of anger. Suppose a mother is working in the living room and she hears her baby crying. Chances are she puts down whatever she is doing and goes to her baby's room. She picks up the baby and holds it tenderly in her arms. This is exactly what we can do when the energy of anger comes up. Our anger is our ailing baby. We must nurture it in order to calm it. Now that is a beautiful metaphor about embracing, and the poem that I'm going to share is going to wrap around this even more. The practitioner knows that her anger is not her enemy. Her anger is her suffering baby. She must take good care of her baby using the energy of mindfulness to embrace her anger in the most tender way. Again, if you're into mindfulness, great. But if you're not, avoid getting caught up on the word mindfulness. Mindfulness is this ability to pause and be aware of what's happening and not be caught in it. And that's what we're talking about here. Breathing in, she can say, I know that anger is in me. Breathing out, I am peacefully holding my anger. So take a moment and just think about that. Breathe in. And as you breathe in, I know that anger is in me, right? I know I have a propensity for anger. Breathing out, I am peacefully holding my anger. So what he's saying is I'm embracing it. And when we breathe like this, there are two kinds of energy. The energy of anger and the energy of mindfulness. And there's the other work that I always talk about, which is polarity. Polarity is always at play. Let me continue on here. The energy of mindfulness continues to be generated by the practice of mindful breathing and mindful walking. And it begins to penetrate into the zone of the angry energy. Let me say that again. It begins to penetrate into the zone of the angry energy. In summer, if you go into a room that is too hot, hopefully you can open a window or turn on a fan or the air conditioner. The cool air does not chase the hot air out. Instead, the coolness comes in and tenderly embraces the heat. And 15 minutes later, the air is different. So it is with bringing mindfulness to our anger. There is no fighting in this practice. Your anger is not your enemy. It's you. And I'm going to share a little bit different perspective when I get into the poem. Let's continue on. It's not good to do violence to yourself. Don't say that mindfulness is good and anger is evil. Don't say that mindfulness is good and anger is evil, and good has to fight evil. In this tradition of mindfulness, there is no battle to be won. Suppose we are feeling a very deep anger that will not go away. We have to be very patient by continuing to generate the energy of mindfulness and tenderly embrace our anger. We will find relief. And midlife, you could have some things that happened to you earlier along. Matter of fact, you may have had some things that happened to you that you were unaware of, and they came back in flashes, flashbacks. And these flashbacks can cause anger in the body, and you can fight it. But I think this is a great recognition, is to not fight it. We don't want to fight it because that creates resistance, and that creates this battle within ourselves. When we embrace it, like he talks about, we embrace the polarity of mindfulness and anger coexisting like the hot and the cold air in the room. And with each breath, your awareness grows and it begins to change the room. And I have this quote: When you become the calm in the storm, you calm the storm. When you become the calm in the storm, you calm the storm. And this is a metaphor, this is poetic. When there's chaos around you and you pause and breathe, you void that reaction that's being elicited. It's almost like your psyche, your ego's demanding reaction to retaliate, but you choose that momentary pause and breathe. That calm in your energy, if you get into the quantum world, begins to calm what's around you, and you calm the storm, my friend. Think of yourself as able to feel anger and let it go. And I'm going to share a poem to close this out. But for now, since this is a special day, this is the day that we are electing, I believe it's our 60th president here in the United States, 2024. And just as I said that, I'm looking at the timer here, 11:11 popping up. But this is the unexpected lesson that came for me today. What would George Washington say? And by the way, I got to point out this over my left shoulder here, George Washington's headquarters was owned by the Potts family, which is, I think, the gentleman here and his family who owned it. His father was the founder of Pottstown. And this home is estimated to be 250 years old, and it's mostly in its original construction. It's stone, it's woodwork, it's incredible. I have some photos, perhaps I'll throw them up, and maybe we can throw a link in the show notes for you to learn more about this. But as I got here, I don't know how this came up, but I started thinking about George Washington and his presidency, and I started to, next thing you know, I just started to intuitively, what would he say? And I came up with the answer. Let this speak to you. I'm just going to read my journal entry. I came here today. I came here today to walk and take in the mild 70-degree weather, but once again, I am surprised by another great unexpected lesson. General George Washington remained nonpartisan in his presidency and beyond. Let me share some of his beliefs. He believed that political parties would be detrimental to the young United States, causing division and undermining the unity for a stable republic. Washington worried that partisan politics would create factions that would constantly fight each other, weakening the nation. Even in his final speech, he explicitly cautioned against the dangers of political parties. Now, this podcast is not a political podcast, and that's not what this is meant for. But you might run into some angry people, depending on the outcome, which I do not know yet at the time of this recording. Choose to be kind and calm. Be that calm in the storm. And realize that even our founding president here believed in unity. And he knew that perhaps there would be a damage to this party, this partisanship, or this loyalty to party. So as we move forward as a U.S. nation, we know, united we stand, divided we fall. And perhaps you can feel the emotions, find that calm in yourself, and choose kindness. And if someone else is angry, take a moment to pause and breathe. If you need to remove yourself. But be kind. Be kind. And realize that this is the environment that we're in. There is party association, there is loyalty, there is an intense polarity. But if you're hearing this podcast, you have a choice. Pause and breathe and choose differently. I want to invite you to subscribe to whatever platform is best for you. And really, I deviate here today on this special day, but this is about your reinvention. This is about your empowerment in your midlife season. And I'm going to talk about, in the next episode, I'm going to talk about doubt and my own personal doubts. I'm going to be very vulnerable. What happens when you doubt yourself, or you feel like it's too late, that you missed it? So please subscribe, and that's going to be the next episode that I'm going to talk about. To end this, I'm going to share a poem with you, and then we'll close out today. This is a poem I wrote called Divine Ecstasy. Saturate my soul. Wring me dry. Hang me out in the sun until the sun's rays consume me. Then darkness befalls, conceals me, until the moon appears, reflecting the sun's rays. Find me once again. Fill my belly, then it is empty again. Fill my ears with a symphony of exquisite harmony until silence returns and inner peace ascends. Feather my skin softly, gently with the finest faraway fabric until it can no longer be felt. Fill my mouth with exotic fruit until plain fruit tastes exotic once again. Let me feel anger so I can allow it to dissolve, reducing the damage to the vessel that harbors the energy. Fill me, empty me, fill me again. I embrace, I let go. I return to love where I started from, transported to divine ecstasy. This podcast was orchestrated on the grounds of Valley Forge National Park, next to Washington's headquarters. And I'm sharing that with you because there's a trust, there's an intuition about these podcasts. And this poem I brought into the mix to, while you're not going to fully understand it all, this is like from the real to the surreal. But the point here is, let me feel anger so I can allow it to dissolve, reducing the damage to the vessel that harbors the energy. Fill me, empty me, fill me again. I embrace, I let go, I return to love where I started from, transported to divine ecstasy. This is in synergy with what Thich Nhat Hanh was sharing, this idea of embracing the anger, not fighting it, allowing yourself to feel it, but growing your conscious awareness so you're less reactionary. You can stand in the gap. You can be in the storm, create the calm in yourself, and calm the storm. And then from there, just like the metaphor of the room, sometimes it takes deep work, deep breath, and it takes time because you may have some anger that has spawned that's connected to many things in your life. So don't just think that it can happen in a flash, but it might take a process. Give yourself time, space, and grace. Continue to do the work and allow that room to change. And just through that, think of the love light shining in you, and it's already there. Even if you're not aware of it, it might be dim, but it's there. And you can return to that divine love and be transported to divine ecstasy. Take a moment to pause and breathe as we exit out on the audio. If you're on the video, I'll pan around a little bit just so you can see the grounds. So pause and breathe in through your nose. Out through your mouth. In through your nose. Out through your mouth. When you become the calm in the storm, you calm the storm. And that is a practice. I want to thank you so much for being here on this November 5th, 2024. And stay tuned for the next episode when we talk about that midlife doubt, that imposter syndrome. What can we do with that? I'm going to be real vulnerable about my journey. And yes, I do feel those emotions. Let's talk about it on the next episode. Thanks for watching. And if you're still with me, this is the beautiful surroundings. The sun just set behind me. The wind has died down just a tad. You can see some of the log cabins through the trees. They had to build those because the headquarters got too packed, and they ultimately had to build extra housing. So the house is real. It's the original, as I said. I'm not sure if the log cabins are replicas. But again, thanks for being here on the video and staying a little bit longer, and we'll see you on the next episode. God bless. Be kind.